right, ladies and gentlemen, everybody is focused on the road to WrestleMania. What happened at the end of Elimination Chamber? AEW Revolution 2 weeks from tomorrow. But we are here on Sportswire Radio getting you ready for another opening day of Wrestling Championship Entertainment. And what better person to have on here for the first time? Our guest, who's kind of the man almost who keeps everything in order. He's the law and order. He is the general manager here of WCE. His name is Mark Packer, and he's going to give us some big news and notes. So certainly if you are a WCE fan, or if you're a wrestling fan right now and you were disappointed that Roman retained, Austin Theory retained, but join us here and so with that, without further ado here on the Sports Report, number one, the Global Sports Show, the general manager, the law and order of Wrestling Championship Entertainment, Mark Packer. Go, Pack, go! Mark Packer, welcome to Sportswire Radio here.
Yeah, glad to be here, Derry.
All right, well, certainly you almost gave us that Montreal-like A, but we are, I know, here in the state of Wisconsin, but obviously good to be with you here, my friend. Obviously a lot to get into here, especially if you're a fan of Wrestling Championship Entertainment. Also want to give a shout-out to, I believe, an upcoming guest coming in very soon from CCW and Firestar Wrestling, Mr. BMD, and I'll be in touch with him shortly about that. But Mr. Packer, obviously good to be with you. You've certainly been a busy, busy man here in this off season. And for those that are listening here and watching on Sportswire Radio, we have a number of announcements. And I figured right off the bat here, everybody's been speaking about here in Wrestling Championship Entertainment, and frankly in the professional wrestling world, in what is going on with the Interstate Openweight Championship. Obviously, JDT wins it at the end of the season, and it's his first championship. We get into that, and then it seems as if he's no longer the champion. So you might want to elaborate, Mr. Packer, for those that are listening and watching in Sportswire Radio, and what has happened with JDT and the WCE Interstate Openweight Championship.
Well, it's a real shame that we had to lose him the way we did. You see, we couldn't come to terms with a new contract because ironically, his contract was set to expire after season 2, after Fighter Fight 2. And we're trying to negotiate, and we just couldn't negotiate to a good deal. So he took his ball, went home.
Disappointed about that. He took his ball and went home. I mean, sounds like we've heard that story before. He wins the championship and I guess decided that he couldn't hang with us here maybe in WCE. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, but he's always welcome to come back. It down the road,
All right, well,
come back.
Okay, all right. So we respect that here, and let me get to a couple of more comments before I ask you another question on that. Adonis Felio says, "Evening, Tom and Mr. Packer. Hey there. My guest on Wednesday, Skulls the Soul Hunter from the state of California. Maybe a talent that you might want to take a look at here down the road. And he's from EWF out there in California, so he's a big-time star. We'll get his story Wednesday afternoon here on Sportswire Radio. So, I mean, obviously, JDT is no longer with us. His contract runs out. He wins the championship and decided to take his ball and goes home. So then the Interstate Openweight Championship has been vacated, as we spoke about here on earlier Sportswire Radio shows. So, Mr. Packer, what happens now?
Well, I'm the commissioner, and I've been talking with the owner, the actual owner of WCE.
Mm-hmm.
And we have come to a decision of putting the Interstate title on the line our next show, March 18th, if the Wisconsin weather holds up, because so date due to change.
Well, how's winter been so far in Wisconsin? Because we have listeners in England, California, New York, like me, yours truly. I mean, how has the weather been in Wisconsin so far? Do we have a chance, you think, Mr. Packer?
Well, I looked at the forecast, and we're expecting some snow this week.
Well, that's not promising.
Yeah, it was melting pretty good during the week, and then I seen the forecast and like, hey, it was bound to happen. This was Wisconsin.
All right, so technically, the title March the 18th is going to be on the line, and how are we going to go about this here, Commissioner Packer?
Well, I think stated, being an owner had been conversing on the idea of what to do with the title. So, I regret to say this, but we decided to allow Nicholas Crenson to have first shots at the title.
Wow, the new Messiah, Nicholas Crenson, gets the first crack. So does that mean he gets to pick his opponent? Does that mean that he's basically the number one contender? I mean, how do we go about that? Should we have opening day on the 18th of March?
Well, it's a little off topic here. You see, he had this little incident with Darkfire during the off season, and
Yes, we had covered that
yep,
here. Correct.
yep, I fined him, but him and his lawyers were up in my business theory,
Hmm.
and I decided to drop the fine on both parties. So here's the kicker here. I get to pick the opponent for the match.
Ooh. Ooh. So I guess after what Mr. Crenson had said here on Sportswire and with his lawyers speaking to you, obviously, that, well, you, I guess, alleviated the fines, but I guess we'll have to stay tuned for what's in store for Mr. Crenson. Is that correct?
Yeah, dearie.
Okay, all right. So that's interesting. So obviously we hear, for those that are listening and watching in Sports Web Radio, JDT once again is no longer our interstate openweight champion. We do wish him well on his future endeavors, but we on March the 18th are going to decide who will be that next champion, and we know that the first person announced for this title situation is Nicholas Crenson, and then I would imagine here in the next few weeks there'll be further updates or announcents for the rest of the field. Is that fair to say, you think?
Yes, we do have some possible other names pop up on ideas, and all I can say is he's not gonna like it.
Well, he's here with us tonight, actually. He has decided to chime in. He says, come on, don't leave me in suspense. Now, how do you take that comment? Do you want to leave him hanging? Do you want to tell him anything further? Or is he just going to have to wait? Because we do have another 4 weeks from now until hopefully opening day.
Sorry, Clinton. You might have to wait down the further weeks.
Okay, that's fair. And Skulls has a proposal for you. He says, what about a snowball fight match?
That has been an idea for Sean Jovi's intergalactic division he has for his vlog.
Well, I mean, where everybody can follow the resident rock star Sean Jovi on Jovi's vlogs on YouTube. I think it's just about 500 plus subscribers right around there. So maybe Skulls is onto something. Skulls has his own YouTube page as well. Skulls the Soul Hunter. He's got a lot of videos he posts all the time. I mean, Skulls might be a perfect candidate for WCE. So obviously, we'll see what happens there. But I mean, you certainly said a lot there, a mouthful when it comes to those announcements. Maybe we'll come back to them, but. Everybody was speaking about Craven Rage, and Craven Rage, the last time he was on here, unveiled a new belt. He was the Universal Grand Slam Wisconsinite champion, but he is now the All Out champion. So, I mean, for those that are listening and watching here, I mean, what was your impression of that, and where does that leave Craven Rage here between now and next month?
Well, since the announcement, I asked the owner about that, and the owner has stated that he wants everyone to go literally all out to try to win that championship.
Well, that makes
So,
sense, right? All out, right? I mean, it's all
yeah,
out
yeah,
championship, so you have to go all out.
yeah. It's a beautiful belt. It's all bedazzled, bejeweled, whatever you want to call it.
And I said it's a better belt than the ones that Roman Reigns is carrying around right now. I mean, I might want to take Craven's belt over Roman's two titles, especially how Roman literally crawled out with those titles.
Yeah, I don't follow up on WWE news and all that. I've been out of the loop for years there, or sober enough during the parties. But yeah,
Well, you're a busy man, Mr. Packer. You have a lot of power there. You've got to focus on keeping the law and order in our wrestling championship entertainment, so we can't blame you there.
yeah, it's the off season. I have to let out some steam somehow, there.
especially after the Packers let us down against the Lions on Sunday Night Football. There, I mean, so fair point there, my friend.
Yeah, another fuel to the fire.
Okay, well, fair enough. I do have a comment though from Adonis Felios on the Craven Rage situation. He says, Mr. Packer, hope you pick me though for the interstate championship. I mean, how do wrestlers make their case here? And before we get to Craven Rage himself, who has decided to come here and join the party here, I mean, um, what do wrestlers need to do to make their case in this interstate championship situation? What do you think?
Well, most people like to present their case and beg and everything else in person or text message, social media, whatnot. But I try to look things at a statistical standpoint and what puts butts in the seats.
Oh, okay. All right. So certainly you're looking at what's best for business, and I can certainly respect that. I do have some more comments. Skulls wants to say about Roman Reigns, he won tonight doing the Canadian screw job. I don't really think he won though off a screw job. I mean, we'll come back to WC in a second. I didn't think it was a screw job, and I thought the ending of Elimination Chamber at least gave those fans in Montreal something to cheer for. Because God forbid if it really did end in a screw job. So I'll come back to that. But Craven Rage has said the champ is here, and he wants to know who's his next victim, Mr. Packer. Now, do you take those offensive words lying down, or do you want to give something alternative to Mr. Craven Rage?
I'm not afraid of that scarecrow looking person. I'm trying to watch my language here, but yeah.
Yeah, we are a family show on Sportswire, so I do
Yeah,
appreciate
yeah.
that.
I promise the owner to be on my best behavior and hold my vulgarity to a very minimum.
I appreciate that. I certainly appreciate that.
Yeah. As for your opponent, Craven, just like Crenson, he's got to find out within the upcoming weeks of any updates. But you do have to be prepared for your title defense at the upcoming show, Deary.
Okay, all right, so that's fair, and we'll get to next the resident rock star Sean Jovi, who is on YouTube, and everybody go to Jovi's vlog and follow all the great stuff that he is doing. And he says, first, before I get to his announcement with you and the Rona's Championship wrestling situation, he'll say, "Me and my rain check are waiting." Now, for those that are familiar with this, Mr. Packer, can you elaborate on what is this rain check that he's waiting on here, Mr. Sean Jovi, the resident rock star?
Yeah, he did have a number one contender match.
Yes, because he got
Yeah,
COVID at the last. He could not
yeah,
make the last show. Correct. Yep.
yep. And me and management did promise him a future title shot in the upcoming season. And it's basically like the golden tickets. He can cash that in whenever because
Okay.
we all know how much he puts his heart and soul into WCE, and it's our best way of saying thank you for all you do. Sorry you got COVID. Here's a little rain check. I actually did send him an envelope that's all soaking wet.
Okay. Because I was wondering. I mean, like sending someone a envelope that's all soaking wet. I mean, I'm sure Mr. Jovi certainly took, I guess, some notice to that, right? Because I would think, right, when you get an envelope
Yeah,
that's soaking wet.
yeah. I tried mailing it in the middle of the night. I slipped and fell in a snowbank. It got
Oh,
wet, and
are you okay though, Mr. Packer? Are you okay?
yeah. I'm fine, dearie.
Okay. All
It's
right. Well,
Wisconsin. It's Wisconsin. It's
all
5-0 the
right.
face over here.
Well, I hope you don't fall any further because we need you. I mean, we've got hopefully another less than 30 days away from opening day here, and I've got some more comments here. So let me try to get to everybody here. Boy, a lot of people tonight are tuned in. I did not expect that. Craven Rage says, I am definitely waiting. And Craven is always on the warpath. And Nicholas Crenton, though, has something to say to you. He says, I don't care who you put in front of me. I will be the champion this year. And I know for you, Mr. Packer, me with a championship is a goddamn nightmare scenario for you and all of management. Do you want to respond to a rather forceful tone from Nicholas Crenton? I mean, Nicholas Crenton, I mean, you want to talk about people on the warpath. I mean, Nicholas Crenton is that person right now.
Yeah, he definitely is a changed individual since what happened to him at Blaze of Glory Day 2.
Mm.
Definitely a changed person. But
Mm.
yeah, but you're gonna have to earn that belt, buddy.
Okay. All right. I have another one. I want to move straight up to the line here, and that was our most recent guest actually on Sportswire. There's the picture of perfection, Kodak Kid, and always love speaking with Kodak Kid. And a question here, I mean, for you, and I don't know what your situation is on what you can communicate on with, but he asked this individual says, "Is Kodak Kid ever going to be able to be cleared to wrestle?" Now, do you know anything about that with the doctors or anybody else that you spoke about the status of Kodak Kid?
We have been in steady contact with Kodak Kid, and he's steadily recuperating. We still don't know when his clear date of clearance is for coming back to the ring, but we're keep our fingers crossed for his recovery.
I know a lot of people would like to see him back in the ring. He was really one of the star stealers, I think, in terms of WC. I know Craven Rage certainly had his issues with him, and I was surprised that you never really took any punishment toward Mr. Craven on that. You know, everything we saw with Krentz, and obviously we do see that they can't touch each other, and obviously that's one thing here. And also, Adonis Felio says, "Well, well, well," and good one, Mr. Packer. But let's come back to Sean Jovi because I didn't get a chance to ask you on this. Obviously, the resident rock star. We spoke with him when he came on, maybe about I want to say 5 or so weeks ago, and the resident rock star talked about he has now brought back the RCW, the Ronis Championship Wrestling belt, and he had elaborated that when we get whatever will be opening day, hopefully March the 18th, that we will actually get him defended in kind of an open challenge. And what's your opinion on that, or anything else you want to elaborate toward that development here?
Yeah, we I have been speaking with several of the talents on our roster, and they are full gear on trying to get their hands on any kind of gold this season. So there's gonna be a long line. I got a feeling for his RCW title.
Now,
But
do
I
you like
understand.
that? Do you think that's good for business to have more gold and more people that are motivated? I mean, is that something that you think, as you had said a little while ago, that you like to do what's best for business? Is that something that you think is best for business and adding more belts and more competition?
It might bring more competition to this part of the area. It anything to motivate the people.
Okay, all right. So that's certainly a fair and valid point, and obviously, Sean Jovi brings this championship, and one of the things I like about the title, and tell me your thoughts on it, is that it adds an element outside of WC. We have a championship that kind of gives maybe something to other competitors, or an outside element that we haven't had here in WCE and in prior seasons. And is that something you agree with as well? And the fact that Sean Jovi bringing this championship allows for maybe some outsiders or talent to kind of see WCE from a different perspective, or anything else you would want to add toward that?
I think it's actually a good decision on both our parts. We're elaborating with Sean Jovi because it's his baby. It's his literal title.
Okay, all right, that's fair points. I mean, certainly we'll see, and we are here on Sportswire Radio, and I want to give a plug to Wrestling Championship Entertainment here. While we got about 15 or so minutes, we're going to be quick with Mr. Packer. He's a busy man. Obviously, he's got a lot on his plate here, and also if you like what you hear from Wrestling Championship Entertainment, please give them a follow on Facebook at WCE Heat. You can go to WCEHeat.com for more information on Wrestling Championship Entertainment. Hopefully, we will see here opening day on March the 18th. Also, YouTube, Wrestling Championship Entertainment. And my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. And I have some more comments. And Skulls has a direct question for you, actually, because he said he's a free agent wrestler. Now, are you looking for free agents? Now, we got the situation with JDT, and JDT obviously is no longer with us. His contract expired, and he chose not to resign. But are you guys looking to sign free agents, especially a big guy like Skulls, who's big time in EWF in California and is basically the soul hunter? He's collected souls on his lunch break, on his dinner break, his breakfast break, his in betweens. I mean, are you guys looking for free agents?
If they are willing to get in contact with us on our Facebook page and are willing to travel, we're open arms.
Okay, all right, that's nice to know. Obviously, we'll make sure to ask Skull that same question here on Wednesday's show. And Nicholas Crenson wants to add the new Messiah. The RCW title has a long history, so it's more than welcome to be in WC. Is that something that you would echo actually for once with you and Crenson on the same page here?
I shockingly, I agree with Nicholas Crenson on that part.
Is this a first you've agreed with Nicholas Crenson and maybe ever?
Yeah, shockingly, yes.
all
He,
right, all
he
right. So
yeah,
listen,
he's yeah. Crescent is a smart man, but he can be at the same time an evil genius.
so I got to be honest here. I want to talk about Nicholas Crenson for a second because I have to say he's kind of one of my favorites on Sportswire. I have to say, as you may or may not be aware of, I interview a lot of wrestlers from all over the world, and some of them are big time world champions like Disciple and RP Davis and Andre Decker, and it's a whole list of people that hold titles. Gareth Angel. I mean, you can go on down the list, right? In England and other places. Vito Fratelli's got 8 championships. Just wrestled Alexander Hammerstone a little while ago, who's the MLW champion, right? But Nicholas Crenson, there's something about him. So I have to ask, and I'm not even scripted to do this. Is a pure shoot, pure pipe bomb here, right, Mr. Packer? What does Mr. Crenson need to do to get on the good foot with you, the good side, to make sure that maybe he stays on that path? I think to get him to be a champion, to get him to be where he should be. I mean, is there anything you think that he could do differently, maybe to be on your side of things, or should he go that route? I mean, tell me what you think.
Uh, it's it's really hard for people who are on opposite sides of the coin to actually 100% be on the same page. It
Hmm.
it's really hard.
It's hard. So you're
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
basic. Okay,
As
all
for
right.
as for he can do, I'm not sure. I am not Nicholas Crenson because I'm not in his head. I don't want to be in his head. He's a crazy individual
Now,
ever since.
can I ask you a question? Now, I don't know if you know it, and I do have a bunch of comments here, and I thank everybody for tuning in here. I mean, I have to say, I actually have right now on Facebook maybe almost as many people as we've ever had on Sportsfire Radio tuning in. No joke here. So I don't know what you did, Mr. Packer, but certainly we appreciate this. But I mean, I kind of think since James Marshall beat him there in that 30-minute Iron Man match in Southern Death, that it's kind of been a new edge on Mr. Crenson. Would you say that it's fair to speculate that James Marshall, in a small way, maybe had something to do with this new edge that Nicholas Crenson has had, for better or worse?
I tuned into an interview that you did with an interview that had something that James was part of,
Yes,
and
Mr. Marshall, sure.
I heard him say that he feels somewhat responsible for
Yes,
Crenson's.
I remember. That's why I wanted to ask you that question if you had heard about that through the grapevine.
Yeah, I think he truly is sorry.
Wow. Okay, well, if Mr. Marshall is sorry, I mean, I certainly can appreciate that speculation there, and I do have some more comments. So first, let me come back to them. Edward Jones says, I had a chance to be a part of a backyard wrestling company in New York. Okay, I mean, I appreciate that. Are you looking, Edward Jones, to come to WCE? Because certainly you have to get in touch with management about that. Craven Rage, though, wants to address you. He says, well, Mr. Mark Packer, whoever you choose to step in my yard against my championship, they will fall to me in a hard way. But honestly, it's in your hands of the damage I will cause. Let me ask you a question on Craven Rage, if you don't mind. Craven Rage has had quite a run here in Wrestling Championship Entertainment. I mean, what he's done, frankly, I actually think it has been more impressive than what Roman Reigns has done, or Alexander Hammerstone, who's been the MLW champion for just about 2 years, or MJF. I think Craven Rage has blown him out of the water in terms of his run as a champion. And you can obviously mention Josh Alexander. I think it's very similar. I think when they took these titles about the same time, but the point is that Craven Rage has pretty much stacked everybody in WCE, and he's beat him and some. So what do you do then to try to keep Craven Rage on his toes, to try to give him that competition? Because, I mean, everybody he's been in the ring with, he stacked them all. And, I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, Mr. Rage, you do gotta remember that people that you faced before during last season to actually learn new tricks during the off season.
Hmm.
It might be someone that you faced before. I might choose, or it might be someone new. You never know. You gotta be always on your toes.
Okay, all right. And Skull says, "Am a student in training, but once I'm done, I'm looking for places to look forward to." Okay, well, my advice then, Skulls, would be, we'll talk about it on Wednesday, is continue training. Listen to your wrestling trainer, and listen to everybody you're in the ring with, and come back with us, and maybe there will be a place for you in Wrestling Championship Entertainment. And this individual, I know, doesn't work in Wrestling Championship Entertainment, but some wrestlers, or many of them, actually know him, and he might be related to somebody named Tim Mecca. He says, "Hi, everyone." So I know you can't really comment on Mr. Mecca, but certainly there are some that are here in this chat that have a history with him. Nicholas Crenton, though, has a response. So let me bring up what Nicholas Crenton has to say. "James Marshall has nothing to be sorry for. He allowed me to be true to myself because I'm the new Messiah, the Psycho Wolf, Mr. Charisma Gasm. I'm the best pound for pound technical psychopath in WCE. So is it a matter of if, but when I'll be champion?" Let me ask you a side point to this question, and I want to ask you this, and I know you have to be objective still, Mr. Packer. So I want to at least get your thoughts on this in a different spin. We spoke with Nicholas Crenton on a few occasions about the fact that he has about a 17-year drought without winning a major championship. From your vantage point, some of these things that Mr. Crenson says, does it help him get to any closer to winning a championship? I don't know. But do you think, though, that there is pressure on Crenson because that title drought, I mean, it's one of the longest out there in professional wrestling. You know, everybody was talking about tonight on Elimination Chamber that Montreal hasn't had a championship in 30 years because Sami Zayn fell short, and obviously the Canadians in hockey haven't won since '93. The Expos, when they were in Major League Baseball, didn't win, and even the MLS and the CFL teams haven't won in that long. But you actually think maybe some of this new Nicholas Crenson has to do with the fact that he hasn't been a champion in, frankly, almost 2 decades?
I call that a little bit of paranoia. He's actually paranoid that he's not ever going to win a championship, but if he keeps at it, he might be a champion sooner or later. But just
Okay,
don't let the pressure get to you, Bandery.
but maybe that's why. I mean, some speculate maybe this Crenson new image, new Messiah, is because of the fact. I mean, listen, 17 years, right? Take a step back. 17 years without a championship. I mean, that's got to wear on you because, every wrestler, I would think, right? Every wrestler, I would think, goes into this wanting to be the champion. I mean, I don't care if you're at the top or maybe not so at the top, right? So I would have to think, though, that Crenson, he's the one that has to live with it. Maybe it's eating him alive. He couldn't get the job done against Craven or Marshall. Some would say that. I don't. I happen to like Crenson. I'm a big fan of Crenson, and I do think that he is right. He is pound for pound, just maybe, the best wrestler in WC. But some may say that this new image, this new persona, is for the fact that it's eating him up alive each and every night, that he doesn't have a championship and hasn't won one in 17 years.
Yeah. I do agree. He is one of the best wrestlers pound for pound in WCE that we have in our roster.
All right. Well, Mr. Crenson's going to have to figure that out here, and we'll certainly see him. I wanted to ask you, did you have any other announcements here for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio that are hearing about Wrestling Championship Entertainment and some other stuff?
Let's see. Let's see my bullet points here. Let's see.
And while you do that, Skull says, "I thought Kevin Owens had the Universal Championship." Yeah, I mean, I think because if I'm not mistaken, this is the technicality, Skulls. Sami Zayn was actually from Montreal, and Kevin Owens was from Laval, Quebec, which is actually just outside of Montreal. So if you're actually keeping, I guess, score at home, that's why they're not counting Kevin Owens. But I had thought the same thing. I had actually thought the same thing that and Adonis Felios here says, "Yes, Mr. Packer, I'm all ears." I mean, Adonis Felios has been a guy that's been hanging around here, I guess, in title contention I mean, what do you think that Adonis Felios needs to do in order to improve his standings in WCE?
He does have the champion attitude. He has makings to be a champion, obviously.
Yep,
He's got the size.
he does have
he
the
got,
size.
got the size, the build, everything. But he somehow is like this close from getting a championship. He just can't reach it.
Well,
All I
you know
gotta
what?
say,
He's an enigma. He's basically an enigma.
yeah, I agree. Yeah,
Okay.
all I can suggest is that you keep working hard and you'll get a belt eventually
Okay. All right.
if you stay on the right track.
All right. So
And
let me bring in up Crenson because I want to ask you a question before we get to closing thoughts here. And we obviously appreciate the time that you've given us. And Adonis wants to say thank you for the compliment. So Adonis is certainly in a good mood tonight. Nicholas Crenson says, I also know my buddy Zero is waiting to find out who his debut will be against. Now, don't tell us if you know, or if you don't know, you can tell us. Stay tuned. But what's your response toward Mr. Crenson here and his response about his buddy Zero here, which I believe is Zero Zeus, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
actually, I'm aware of what it's everyone's favorite neighborhood spooky boy, Zero. He's made quite a few appearances in Joby's vlog over the past
Yes,
couple of weeks.
Jovi's vlog has got it going on.
Yeah, and all we have been talking to Zero. He signed a contract to be a part of WCE roster this season. And as far as the point goes, it's someone relatively new.
Okay.
Yeah,
So, do you like when we have new talent that are kind of like on the peripheral, or we kind of don't know about them? I mean, because we have a whole ton of people here still that have tuned in here, and I feel bad. I kind of want to keep going just for them, but I mean, do you feel that that's kind of adds some element when we have talent that we kind of don't know so much about? I mean, what's your thoughts on that, Mister Packer?
it brings a pretty good element to each show you put on, having fresh new faces trying to prove themselves and see what they're capable of. And as far as who I choose to face Zero, yeah, he actually has wrestled one or two matches with us before last season.
Okay, all right. So listen,
I'll leave that mystery up to Zero to figure out.
I
Because
was gonna say, listen, whatever you do, Mister Packer, as I always tell everybody on Sportswire Radio, whatever you do, don't tell us here. Listen, because you know what? Leave everybody into speculation because we're gonna have more coverage here of WCE. And I want to remind everybody, if you like what you hear from us and you're listening to us for the first time on Sportswire Radio, please support us on YouTube at Sportswire Radio. Well over 100 subscribers, so we're working up our way here. We had a recent interview that generated over 500 plus views. So I want to thank everybody for the support. Facebook at Sportswire Radio, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You can listen to all of our great content on sportnarium.com/player. And I will be back here tentatively tomorrow with Joshua Howard, who is the owner and promoter of Championship Wrestling Entertainment in England. So it looks like we are going to be on with him at some point for a little while. So I look forward to getting into his story. Monday will be with the unforgettable Andre Decker, who now holds not one but two titles in England. He has an open challenge as well that he's going to talk about on March 11th Knockout Wrestling Show. So Andre Decker has been with us almost since the beginning on Sportswire Radio. So look forward to speaking with Mr. Decker, and that'll be Monday night. I'll have a further announcement on that, but we are here for a few more minutes with the commissioner officially, because I was calling him the general manager, but he is the commissioner of Wrestling Championship Entertainment. His name is Mark Packer. And Skulls wants to say here, expect the unknown. It drives people nuts. Also, Nicholas Cranston says, we definitely need meeting me to set up a time to speak. And of course, we will definitely do a segment. That is a no-brainer. We will definitely figure that out. Maybe in the next week or two, we'll talk after we're off the air here, Mr. Crenton, so that you can say consider that one done. And anything else that you, because we have a whole bunch of people tuned in. Obviously, there's a whole universe of people that are hearing about Wrestling Championship Entertainment for the first time. And anything you want to add to those new people that we have here tuned in on Facebook and YouTube that maybe haven't heard about you guys, but give us some reasons why they should go follow on Facebook and YouTube, and anything else you want to add.
Yeah, WCE actually offers something different to the table every show we put on. And if you're curious on what we do, give us a follow on Facebook at facebook.com/WCE Heat. And we also got shows on YouTube at youtube.com/WCE Heat. It's a tongue twister, I know.
I know they're all tongue twisters. Trust me. I always tell people I am the master of tongue twisters. My tongue is always twisted here. So certainly we appreciate all that. I also wanted to give another announcement, which I mentioned last night on my Sportswire radio show before we get to closing thoughts here, that if you are a football fan here, if you are a fantasy football fan or actually an NFL picks fan, we are actually starting in September. We are doing an NFL picks league. So we go on the air Friday nights, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time for our American sports fans. We basically do NFL, baseball, the other sports. If you want to enter my Sportswire Radio NFL picks regular season from weeks 1 to 18, we will crown a champion. And when the winner of that champion is crowned, I will personally give you a championship belt. So I will crown you not the wrestling championship entertainment champion like what Mark Packer crowns, but the Sportswire Radio NFL picks champion. So if you're interested, you want to join that, you got to tune in starting in September for week 1 of the NFL season, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, Facebook and YouTube at Sportswire Radio. And Adonis Felios says March 18th, Adonis Drippin Felios is back on the scene. All right, so we'll certainly see here. And anything else you want to add that you have for the announcements that before we get to closing thoughts on Wrestling Championship Entertainment that you'd like to mention to all the new people that are tuned in right now?
Yeah, I think we got everything stated as bulletin points.
Okay.
Everything's all announced, and if you stay in touch with us for further updates at our website, WCEHeat.com.
Okay, all right. So certainly, Mr. Packer, you've kind of kept it short and sweet to the point, and obviously, I want to recap those announcements here. If you're watching and listening for the first time, first announcement is JDT, which we knew already, no longer interstate openweight champion. March 18th, Nicholas Crenton is one of those contenders for the championship, but he doesn't know who his opponent is yet. I believe you also mentioned Dark Fire in the mix because they've had a little bit of a feud, and obviously you refined Crenton about Dark Fire, so you've corrected the fine, but you've put Crenton in a match, doesn't know his opponent. Craven Rage, All Out Championship. He is going to find out his opponent between now and March 18th. It's going to be an all out for opponents, and we'll see how many he gets. Sean Jovi, Ronus Championship Wrestling Champion, putting his belt on the line also on the 18th of March. And he will have an open challenge that anybody can answer. Now, last point on that before we go, can anybody in Wrestling Championship Entertainment or outside of Wrestling Championship Entertainment answer that challenge? What are the rules difference between RCW and WC? Are we going with WCE rules or RCW rules?
I believe it's RCW rules. I have to
check that out
about that because he's the mastermind behind all that.
All right. Well, we'll have Joby back on. I have no doubt that we will have Joby back on. Also, we also had an update on Kodak Kid. Kodak Kid has still not been cleared to wrestle, but you've been speaking with the doctors, and Kodak Kid is certainly progressing, and we hope he continues to get better. Also, want to give a shout out to Darkfire because Darkfire and Craven Rage, by the way, if you go to the YouTube page of Wrestling Championship Entertainment, that's the match that has thousands of views. So many people have viewed it. That really was the match that put Wrestling Championship Entertainment match. Certainly Marshall and Crenton have a match out there on YouTube that also is I think close to 1,000 views, something like that. But that's the match that you want to check. Obviously, Jovi and Craven have a match on it that really went out like wildfire. But there are so many great shows that you can find on Wrestling Championship Entertainment on YouTube. You have Fight or Fright and Day 1 and Day 2. You have Blaze of Glory. You have Beat the Heat. You have so many Red, White, and Bruised, Spirit in the Sky. I mean, so much of Vindication. All those great shows you can find on WCHeat.com or on YouTube. And those shows we're very proud on Sportswire Radio to have covered. And we are very, very proud to continue to cover Wrestling Championship Entertainment. Mr. Packer, I know you're a busy man. I want to keep it short to your time. I also want to give a big shout out to Anastasia Riznia, huge wrestling fan also from California. Apparently a big fan of yours, Mr. Packer. She was telling me that a huge fan of the Packers mask, even though she's a Chargers fan. And she was also saying how much that she was hoping that Aaron Rodgers comes back to the Packers for one more year. Although I don't know how Packers fans feel about that, but she's a huge wrestling fan, huge fan of WCE Wrestling Championship Entertainment, but most importantly, a huge fan of yours because you have many, many fans out there who are hearing you from the first time. But Mr. Packer, I want to thank you for this opportunity, and hopefully don't be a stranger, and I can't wait to resume coverage here of Wrestling Championship Entertainment probably in a few short weeks, and let's hope that Mother Nature is kind to us here for March 18th.
Yeah, yes. Please be kind to us, Mother Nature. That's all we ask for in Wisconsin.
Well, I'm going to do you a favor before I let you, because you know I am a reverend, so we're going to say a sign of the cross here, and dear Father who art in heaven, let's hope here that our weather on March 18th is sunny, 55 and sunny, no rain, no wind, so Wrestling Championship Entertainment, Appleton, Wisconsin, can get a perfect day so everybody can go on opening day so we can see stars like Craven Raid, Sean Jovi, Nicholas Crenson, Dogfire, Adonis Felios, and much, much more. So certainly, thank you, our Father who art in heaven, and hallowed be thy name. So certainly we said a prayer, so hopefully that keeps us on the right track. And Craven Rage says thank you, and that's going to be the only time you're going to see Craven Rage do a thank you here. And Adonis says have a great night. And thank you everybody for tuning in. If you're on sportnarium.com/player, you'll get reruns of Elimination Chamber previews. And if you're on Facebook and YouTube on Sportswire Radio, we will be back, it looks like tomorrow evening about 8 o'clock British Standard Time, which would be 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And Adonis also appreciated the prayer. So thank you everybody here for tuning in on the number one global radio station. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce here with the Commissioner of Wrestling Championship Entertainment, Mark Packer.